I thank the chair and I thank the panel for being here. Admiral Lunday, I'd like to ask you for a status update. As you know, there's an ongoing environmental emergency in Buxton Beach, North Carolina, which is part of the Cape Hatteras National Seashore. And before 2013, the Navy and Coast Guard, they stored fuel at the beach. And it used to be buried, but now oil's washing onto the beach and leaking into the ocean. Folks in the area are rightly concerned and frustrated because it's gone on for more than a year. There are three primary federal agencies with responsibility here. It's the National Park Service, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Coast Guard. Now, I know that the Coast Guard is working with the other relevant agencies, and then the Army Corps of Engineers recently announced they're deploying a team to monitor and take potential actions if petroleum releases are observed. But is the Coast Guard involved with these efforts?
Senator Budd, thank you for the question. I first became aware of this issue when I was commanding Atlantic area last year, and I began to receive emails directly from local residents and community members in the area and in Buxton. And so I became familiar with the issue and what we were doing, working with the National Park Service, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Navy. And we continue to be involved in those efforts. As you noted, Senator, I noted that the Corps of Engineers last Friday deployed a team to begin removing potentially contaminated soil, and they announced that they awarded a contract to bring in additional equipment to begin to remediate some of the potentially contaminated soil in the area. But the Coast Guard remains fully involved in that and in coordination with the Corps, with the National Park Service, and the Navy.
So you do agree that there is an active spill? And first of all, thank you for your efforts through the Coast Guard on this, but you do agree there's an active spill?
Well, Senator, we sent Coast Guard pollution responders earlier in the year and last year to determine whether or not we could take action as if it was an oil spill into the water. As we arrived on scene, we did not detect the level of or detect any spill that we could respond to under our authorities. That didn't mean there was nothing that could be done, because there are other authorities that the Army Corps and others are using and that we're leaning on to be able to address the problem. But at the time and in our response, we have not seen an active spill that enabled us to use our organic Coast Guard oil spill response authorities.
Has the Coast Guard determined whether there's an authorized program it can use to remediate the site?
Well, we're working with the Corps of Engineers and the Park Service to look at that, Senator. And so that's part of a federal team effort to address the challenges there.
One more question on the authorities. Would it be possible for the Coast Guard's oil cleanup authorities to be used here since petroleum is washing into the ocean? I just want to be clear on this.
Senator, although we haven't seen oil washing into the ocean specifically, but if we do detect that, our oil spill response authorities could be used. So we are continually in communication with not only the federal partners, but with the local community. And if there is oil going into the water, we will respond under that oil spill response authority. Yes, sir.
Again, I know there's multiple agencies involved here. How long, in your best estimation, would it be before those that are concerned, all of us in North Carolina concerned about this, how long do you think it can be before we expect that these are all cleaned up?
Senator, I would like to get back to you with a briefing along with the Corps of Engineers so we can fully answer that question and provide that for the record, sir.
Thank you. I would ask the Coast Guard to keep working, as you are, with every other involved party to end this environmental emergency now. This needs to be cleaned up without further delay. And again, I want to thank you for your efforts through the Coast Guard.